Good day, and thanking you for joining us on the GIS Report. I am your host, Information Officer Colleen Penn. Today we're going to discuss all things cultural as we're celebrating Culture Week in a few short weeks. As my guest, I have the Director of Culture, Mrs. Luz Hodge-Smith, to speak to us about Culture Week 2013 and all the activities planned for this year's celebrations. Mrs. Hodge-Smith, welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Now, Mrs. Hodge-Smith, Culture Week is an annual event celebrated here in the Territory. Tell me, why is it that we observe this week?
Well, Culture Week started in 1994 as a request by the former Chief Education Officer, Mr. Elroy Turnbull. And he wanted a week of observance of our culture, of the Virgin Islands cultural heritage. And the week called Culture Week was born. And basically, it's many folds in terms of why we celebrate Culture Week. It's an opportunity to showcase and highlight a bit of the Virgin Islands cultural heritage. It's an opportunity for us to have our younger people, our students in the schools, our younger generation, actually participate in the activities and learn firsthand of what their cultural heritage is. And it's also an opportunity to increase our residents' awareness of Virgin Islands heritage, cultural heritage, and also visitors that are among us during the time of the celebrations of Culture Week. They get to learn a bit more about the Virgin Islands cultural heritage. And finally, it's an opportunity to link culture to various aspects of life. Hence the themes. Every year we have a different theme and we have a different focus for the year. And we try to have activities to bring out the focus of the theme. So we link culture to life in a sense, because culture, as you know, is life. And that's an opportunity that we have during the week to show how vast it is. So basically, in a nutshell, it's an opportunity to preserve and promote our cultural heritage.
That was quite a nutshell. It has been a very extensive one where you illustrated, you highlighted to us the various aspects of our culture. Now, you said the theme. Every year, a different theme is used for the celebrations. What is the theme for this year?
This year, we've gone a little different, where the theme is From Cottage to Cultural Industry, Promoting a Sustainable Economy in the Virgin Islands. And I'll repeat that. From cottage to cultural industries, promoting a sustainable economy in the Virgin Islands. As we know, the cottage industries are like home businesses. And we, in the past, like in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, we've had quite an extensive amount of cottage industries that persons, individuals that were taking part in these activities made a living from it. Such as the covering of the bottles that were shipped from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, and they were brought here to us in our families here in Tortola and elsewhere, where we covered them in straw and sent them back to the U.S. Virgin Islands. So that was a very thriving industry. And we also had basket weaving, hat making. We've also had the growing of the arrowroot, and stuff like that. And there were these small businesses that helped to families to sustain themselves. And now today we have what we call the cultural industries, and internationally it's the new buzz is the cultural industries. We're looking at the music, we're looking at festivals, and we're looking at carnivals, and the same hat basket weaving, we're looking at fashion industry, we're looking at arts and craft, but at a higher level. So from the home industry or the home business, taking it international to the cultural industry and showing how these industries or these vast industries, how they contribute to the economy.
And they do contribute.
Oh,
to
yes,
our
they
economy.
do. They do. And there's a lot of money to be made from it. And it helps to sustain families. It helps to sustain, it's like sometimes it could be a full-time job for persons. It depends on the level that they take in their creativity. And cultural industry is also the creative industry because it means you have to be creative. So it means then that these cultural industries are helping to sustain lives. So there's a whole vast of information about these cultural industries, hence our focus on the theme this year, and to show that, you know, how it contributes to the economy. Because there's so much that you can do. And you can do it part-time. You know, you can have a full-time job, you can have a professional job like a lawyer or a doctor, but you have a talent. You can carve, you can make stuff from the leather material, you can do things with your hands. So instead of just letting your talent die out, you're encouraged to keep doing it and make a living from it, even if it's just a hobby. And sometimes it's turning your hobby into a business as well. That's also going to be pointed out during the week, how you can use your creative skills to turn it into businesses, even if it's just a part-time something. And we can see a lot of our participants that we're going to try to highlight this year during Culture Week. Some of them are doing it full-time, some are doing it part-time. But the idea is to show the importance of the cultural industries to our economies.
I think that's excellent.
I hope it comes out.
I think
The points that we want to make, I hope it comes out during the week of activities.
And I think the public will really learn a lot about our culture.
Yes.
As you rightly said, these were areas that sustained us.
Yes.
Before we are now cultural, but they were cottage before.
Yes.
And I think it will be quite fascinating to see how this is done during Culture Week.
Yeah, because, just to point out as well, the cottage industry was just something, like I said, that was done at home. And it involved the entire family in some cases. But the cultural industry, it's from the creation to the production to the distribution of the product. And it also involves what you would call it, copywriting, intellectual property. So when you create something,
this is a whole business.
This is a whole business aspect of it. So it's like you create something, but you have to safeguard it as yours, because then somebody else will take your idea. So it involves a lot about the intellectual property rights and stuff like that. The music, when you write a song, it involves these things.
So during Culture Week, persons will be exposed to this and learn how to do that?
Well, we're going to highlight it a bit. I think the week may not have the opportunity to do all of these things in the week, but we may touch on some of these aspects. But we hope to, to show some of our citizens that are actually in the cultural industries, different areas, like we have some jewelry makers, we have some fashion designers, and we're going to be producing a booklet. I hope it's produced on time. If not, then we'll definitely have it distributed afterwards. But this booklet will feature some of our cultural workers and the areas that they're involved in, and how they got involved, how it's working out for them. We have sculptors, we have ceramics makers, or however they're called. We have the visual artists, which are the artists that does the paintings. We have a whole vast of cultural workers throughout the territory. So we just want to highlight them and show that they are valued and the contributions that they make. Because some of these things are also some of our traditional arts and craft that they've taken to a different level, and taken it international. And what we're going to do, there are two persons that are from the U.S. Virgin Islands that we want to bring over to highlight some of what they're doing. There's this one lady that she makes jewelry from the seed of the palm tree. The palm tree seed, sometimes you see a green or a red palm tree seed. Well, she dries it and she makes jewelry out of it. And then there's another person that we're going to try to bring over as well from St. John. They actually make pencils out of sticks.
Wow.
So it's fascinating.
It is.
You just have an idea, your creative idea, and you're turning it into a business.
Brilliant. I look forward, and I wish it much success when it comes on board. Now, you've just pointed out a number of our cultural uniqueness, things that are unique to us here.
Yes.
For Territory Day this year, for Territory Day this year,
Yes.
a number of territorial signs and symbols were made official. They were always in use, some of them.
Yes.
Some one or two may have been added new. Share with the listeners some of what these signs and symbols are.
Oh, sure. Well, I'll have to read from this because it's a long list and I don't want to
miss
leave out any.
anything.
So
Okay.
yes, there were the territorial dress and the territorial song, and also selected were the territorial colors, and they are yellow, which represents the sun, green representing the hills, and blue representing our beautiful Caribbean Sea, white representing our beaches, and red representing the feisty nature of the Virgin Islanders. And then there's also the territorial dish, which is a fish and fungi, which we always knew it was a fish and fungi, but it now made official. And the territorial music, the fungi music, and the territorial flower, white cedar. And as you said, there were some already in existence where they were the territorial badge or the coat of arms, the territorial flag, and territorial tree, and the territorial bird, meaning the turtle dove or the zenada. And the territorial tree is the cedar, the white cedar tree. Now these symbols, as you asked, the significance of them, be significant because they're used as a means to communicate, what our history and culture is. And it also used to foster patriotism in our citizens. You're using the flag. When you go somewhere and you're representing, you take your flag. So when you see your Virgin Islands flag, this is you're from the Virgin Islands, because your flags help to identify who you are. So these symbols, in addition, also help to identify who we are. So it also creates, fosters unity and fosters patriotism. So these are the significance of these symbols.
All right, the territorial flower.
Yes.
That's the white cedar flower.
The white cedar flower.
And that one I know had persons a little confused.
Well, it's not confusing because you have the white cedar tree. The tree itself is significant for us because it helped to sustain us as well. Using the branches from the tree helped to make the tortola sloop. But the flower itself and the tree itself, because it's not something that you will grow on your own. It's found everywhere. It's just wild. And there's a season for the flower that it blooms up in the hills and the ridge roads. When you drive through, it's like you're driving through a path of just white cedar flowers. Yeah, it's like in a different world. So it speaks of us. It's a tree that's indigenous to the Virgin Islands. Why not make it our national or territorial symbol? So that's why we said the white cedar, because I think in the past there was confusion about the hibiscus and the oleander. These were imported. I mean, the white cedar I don't think was imported. I don't think that someone went up in the hills and planted it. So it's something that comes out of the...
Yeah, it is ours.
Yes.
Great. So for Culture Week this year, some of the activities that are planned, tell our listeners.
Well, some of the activities we have, of course, we're going to be attending. We're going to start off the week. The dates are November 10th to the 15th. Yes, Friday the 15th. And also, what we're going to have the radio address by the Honorable Minister, of course, to kick off the week. And then we're going to attend a church service. We haven't yet decided which church, because last year we started attending church. And we attended the Eastern Methodist Church because it was the oldest Methodist church in the territory. And we're going to have a couple of days during the almanac again to highlight some of the information about surrounding the theme. And from Monday through Friday, the schools will go wild with their cultural activities. And I must say, the highlight of Culture Week is just seeing the enthusiasm of the schools when they plan their week of activities or their day of activities. So their days are from Monday through Friday. Each school will select a day when they will host their activity, and by inviting persons to come in and demonstrate to the children some of our traditional dishes, some of our traditional pastries and stuff like that. And some of the schools have plat poles. They're going to be demonstrating the plat poles. I mean, they just go all out and have a fantastic time. And then we have, what we're going to do this year, there are a couple of committees that we have been working with in the Department of Culture, helping them to get started, supporting them with their efforts, attending their meetings, hosting them at the department to have their meetings. And what we're going to do, we're going to launch these committees. And just to name them, we have the Virgin Islands Genealogy Society. They're right now just wrapping up their constitution. They've already selected their executive body, and they have been meeting. The Virgin Islands Artists Association, they've completed their constitution, and they're about to select their executive body. And we have the Virgin Islands Schools Cultural Committee. The Virgin Islands Schools Cultural Committee has been in existence for a few years, but we haven't really officially announced this committee. And what it is it's a representative from each school, public and private, that come together to organize cultural activities within the schools. Because the ideal thing for us at the Department of Culture, if one day we would have cultural officers, and the cultural officers will go out to the schools and work with the schools to have, organize cultural events, cultural activities. But since we don't have that right now, that's for the future.
Yes.
We're using the teachers. So each school sends a representative to serve on this committee. And initially, we have been working with the Schools Cultural Committee to organize Culture Week. And we have been meeting for this year's Culture Week. We've had a couple of meetings organizing the week of activities. But after the week, we really would like for the representatives to go back to the schools and organize cultural activities with the assistance of their colleagues within the fellow teachers and principals, of course, and set aside a day when they will do something cultural within the schools, so that, keep the kids active, get them hands-on to know what their culture is, and we're also going to try to form culture clubs within the schools as well. So it's going to be interesting, and we're going to work on projects, and we're going to have workshops with these teachers to teach them about our culture so that they can pass it on to the children. So it's an interesting club, it's an interesting committee, and we're going to be launching that committee as well. And finally, we're going to be launching the Virgin Islands Cultural Heritage Committee. This is a committee that was started in my absence, but it continues. And it's something that I think is a positive thing. And these are members of the community that have been brought together who have an interest in preservation of our cultural heritage. And we will be launching this committee as well. And it's a very exciting committee. They're so passionate about preservation of our culture and our history. And it's going to be great. So those are the four committees that we're going to introduce to the public.
All during Culture Week.
Well, we're going to have one session to introduce them, and then, but the idea of the Virgin Islands Artists Association and the Genealogy Society is also to encourage members of the public who are interested in these areas to join, because it's open to the public, especially the Genealogy Society. Persons that are interested in researching their family background and their getting to know who their family members are, going way back, tracing their roots. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there will be registration forms available so that persons can, register to be a member of these societies. And with the society, you get to travel, because there are conferences all over. Conferences can probably come here and organize conferences here and do displays of your family trees and your, so it's exciting. So we look forward to letting the public know that these committees exist. So that's the idea of launching those committees on Thursday, the 14th of November. And then we will have some form of a panel discussion on the topic of the theme, sustainability through cultural industries. And we will have that either on one of the talk shows or the TV shows. We haven't decided yet, but we're working on that, and it'll be finalized. And on Friday, which is normally the highlight of the week, the Schools Cultural Committee agreed that we're going to continue to have the cultural parade, which was initiated last year. And you're going to have that. You're going to have the art and food fair / fashion show.
Tell me about
And the
that.
fashion show is basically to highlight some of the designs by our local fashion designers. We may not have a full-fledged fashion show, but to show some of their work, especially with not just clothing alone, but some fashion designers are doing accessories for your hair, pin-ons, brooches and stuff like that. So we look forward to some of that. And what we're going to use are the Territorial fabric. We're going to create some outfits that you can use the Territorial fabric to show how you can use it, not just for the Territorial dress, but you can purchase pieces of the Territorial fabric and make your own outfits. So we want to highlight some of that as well. So it's a slight little fashion show, because we do have quite a bit of designers up and coming.
We do.
And we would like to showcase them again around the cultural industry's theme that we have. Fashion is a thriving thing, because we've been making great strides, I should say, in the fashion industry. And then we have the public is invited to wear cultural wear on that day.
That's the Friday.
On the Friday is a cultural wear day, preferably Territorial dress. If at all possible, we would like to encourage everyone to wear the Territorial dress, if not something cultural. And we're going to have a friendly competition within the offices, the businesses that have employees. If the managers or the owners of these businesses can encourage their employees to wear something cultural on that day, then they simply need to let us know that they're going to participate, and we will come around and count the number of employees for ourselves. I don't know how that will work, but we're going to work out the logistics of it. The number of employees, so the employees with the most, the employers with the most, or the businesses or offices with the most employees that are wearing something cultural will be recognized, and we will give them something tangible to show our appreciation for them participating. So it's a friendly competition.
Friendly competition.
So, yes.
And I know the Territorial dress, as it's on the screen now.
Yes.
You can have it in the red fabric, the white, or
and
the blue.
Yes.
So there are options.
Yes.
And there are different ways it can be designed, following the pattern and so forth, that it can be showcased and worn. And I guess that will be also a great identifying and unifying tool to help strengthen who we are as a Virgin Islander as well.
Yes.
So you seem to get a very full week.
Yes, we always do. And then we wrap up with the Fungi Fest. We have tagged the Fungi Fest during the end of Culture Week, and that will be in the Noah Lloyd Positive Action Movement Park, along with the food fair and cultural fair.
So,
yes, that's our week of activities.
That is quite a week of activities.
Yes.
So as it relates to what you would like our viewers and listeners to leave this program knowing about Culture Week 2013, tell us the dates again and so forth. But what, as you, as a director of culture, what you would like to see from the public? I know you're seeing a lot from the schools, based on what you said, but what you like to see from the wider public as it relates to Culture Week 2013. Share those words with us.
Well, the dates again are November 10th to the 15th. And yes, the schools are always active. They always participate. This is one activity they actually look forward to. So there's no problem there. We're very satisfied with the school's participation, but we'd like to see a bit more of the public's participation, especially with the cultural wear. We hope that, banks, I know it's always a formal dress in suit. It's a Friday. Can dress down. Some offices have dress down day on a Friday. So instead of just wearing jeans, wear something cultural. So we would like them to wear the Territorial dress. We encourage them to get it made. The fabric can be purchased at Clover's. So get your costumes or your Territorial dress outfits made now, so that you'll be ready for November 14th. And just to get them to participate by wearing. I think that's the only thing. And come out on Friday, the 14th as well, for the food fair and the fashion show, the mini fashion show that we're going to have.
The venue?
The venue is the Positive Action Movement Park as well. So the parade will bring the kids down to the park as it had done last year. And again, I know the parents are very supportive of the schools, because most times when the teachers ask the parents to help out with certain items for the children to bring so that they can have their culture day, just to continue to support your children with their activities at their schools, and visit the schools, you know, on the day of the school's activities, because what the schools are doing, they're selecting which day they're going to have their activity, and we try our best to promote it as well on which day, which school will have what activity. So just to participate and, you know, and also to give feedback. Feedback is so important for us. You know, if you see something that we can improve upon, just share with us your thoughts and let us know how you felt the week of activities were. Is there something different that we can do, a different idea? Just give us feedback. That's a form of participation.
Brilliant. And as you were speaking about the activities in the schools, I know they put a lot into it, and they want the public to see what they're doing. They want the parents, the wider community to be involved, the after-school sponsors, persons representing those organizations. They really want them to come out and just see our culture and how they're having fun celebrating who we are as Virgin Islanders. So Mrs. Hodge-Smith, thank you so much for imparting to our audience about Culture Week 2013, all the various activities and events that take place, and for encouraging us to come dressed in our cultural wear the Friday of that week, to be a part of the different societies, genealogy, and so forth, and to just visit the schools, participate, and be active and present for Culture Week 2013. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
For the Ministry of Education and Culture, I've been your host, Information Officer Colleen Penn, inviting you to Culture Week 2013 to be celebrated from November 10th to the 15th, where we will highlight all things Virgin Islands culture. Thank you for listening.